We have a lot of data on the real-time operations, but we also have a lot of data on the historical information, and we may have not been using it a lot. Maybe you were only doing a couple of Excel historic reports or things like that. So we want to create a web application that really empowers the use of all the information and all the data that you have in the system. One of the things that we believe is that world is changing a little bit, and everyone was kind of like happy with just having a little bit of Excel reports in the past. Now they want to see it in real time. Now they want to see it in web. Now they want to see it in their phone. Now they want to see it in like as it happens. Management may be in front of the press at the moment that an outage just happens, and I'm pretty sure the press is just going to know before him unless he has the right information at hand, right? So a lot of that is just changing how the utilities kind of like work around that. And you may be wondering why choosing live and what does make live a little bit different. So this is our key values when we design the application. We want to make it very strong and robust and secure. So you'll see that the design is secure by design. There is no option to run live without HTTPS, for example. There is just no option. We have make it secure by design. We have tried to blend all the different type of data sources that we have, and I think my presentation will cover a little bit more of that. We want a single source of truth. So I'm pretty sure you have run a couple of reports from Excel, give it to someone, then run almost the same report from Excel, give it to someone else. Everyone makes a couple of changes within the Excel, and suddenly it gets to the management, and the report looks different. And it's the same raw data, right? So we like the idea of a single source of truth. If you're going to make a template on a report, I want to run it against the actual data so that it always runs the truth. And if I see it later on, it's always going to be based on that truth that was recorded on the system. And one that I will pick from there is we want to make a codeless design. And we have seen a ton of dashboards applications. But most of those dashboards applications needs heavy IT coding behind it. Needs to become almost a query expert against the SQL. So if you're more on the OT side and you're not really kind of like a query builder or a coder on a hard coder, a lot of the times the problem is that you get the training to build those dashboards, and then you don't build the dashboard in 6 months, and then suddenly you need to build the dashboard, and you know what? You don't recall how to do it because it's a lot of coding behind it. So we want to get completely opposite from that experience. So we have blended all those into live. The whole idea is that you have a seamless experience regardless of what's the data source that we have on live. So this is our first application that blends all that data sources into a single application to show the information. So let's talk a little bit about what's a configurable dashboard. A configurable dashboard would be something similar to what you're building on a SmartView, but the difference is you're building it to be responsive in tablets, phones. So you need to think on that perspective. Sometimes the way you think on a SmartView is you think on the control room, am I right? And you think on big screens, a lot of resolution, big real estate. Sometimes when you're thinking on how to do it for phones, SmartViews, you need to think on smaller resolutions, less information, key information, right way of presenting it, who's the audience. It's slightly different on how you present it. Now, a lot of what I like about the configurable dashboards is how can you kind of like dig down. So for example, if I touch on something like close, I'll be able to get into a dashboard of that specific value. So it's not just the value, it's not just the dashboard, but once you have the dashboard, you can drill down on all the information. My field crew wants to see if there is a tag assigned to that specific breaker or that specific point. So yes, you can see tagging and you can see some additional information. And you can even go into those ones and it will show you more. So for example, if you click on the historical information, you'll be able to not just see the trending that was coming from the Qt log, but if you have configured any historical data set around that specific point, you'll see it coming up as a tab. And then you can navigate and see all the what's the behavior of that point, not just on the Qt log, but in every historical data set that you have configured. And you can navigate all the points over here, zoom in the information, change the time that you're seeing on the calendar that you want to analyze, and it will show you also the values on the table that you're seeing. So we try to make as more value as we could, just out of the box, even without configuring the dashboard as you navigate. You got the opportunity to also see nodes. So if you have added a node, the operator or the person on the field can open, see the points, see the notes. If it's in the point browser, it could even filter the information based on the only points that have notes or the only points that have tags. So there is a lot of ways to work around, like I said, tags, and you can see the tags that have been applied, and if you have multiple tags, you'll see the list coming down. So it's not just about what's the dashboard, but it's allowing the user to navigate with that dashboard all the things that he could do, and he could drill down if he sees something that it's kind of like meaningful to him. With the responsiveness in mind, you can see it. As you create the dashboard, you can change it to tablet. It will look like this. You can change it to the phone. It will look like this. You can put it vertical. It will look vertical. Or as you navigate one of these pre-built dashboards that we have created, you can look at like this when you're kind of like on a big screen. So the idea of the query builder is something similar to what you build on the STC Explorer around making reports. So it gives you access to make queries of alarms, queries of events, and queries of historical information. And you can put that information into charts, tabs, or you can export it. So the idea of this one is you can build the different queries, and then you can just run them as needed. So it would be similar to having a report pre-created. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the workspaces later in connection with this one. But you got a list. We have kind of like identified which ones are alarm, which ones are historical. You have the option to display it. You got the option to share it. You can save an individual name. And basically, you can run a report against the alarm. So if you want to have on your phone the last 24 hours of alarm, you just need to make a query. Say, I want to query alarms and event, last 24 hours of alarms, and now I have all the alarms at the key on my phone. I really would like to emphasize the filtering, and like I said, for me, it was very important, that codeless experience. And it's, as we were building, we didn't want to make you very kind of like tired making those queries with the select from where and from here in this column, make this table. So we tried to make the filtering as easy as possible. And as I was talking about the responsiveness, you can even build the queries from your phone. It's not that you need to build the queries on the computer and then use it on your phone. If you're on the fly, you're on the substation, you don't have a query of the alarms and events of that substation, you can just build it on the fly. So finally, you also got the option to export. So you got the option to export over here. Once you click that exporting button, basically what you're adding is the capability to export the data that you just narrowed down into Excel. And then you can do whatever you want on the Excel. That means that on the click on your phone, you can download all that raw data or all that report query data into your phone, into your tablet, or into your computer. You can download it into your phone and then send it over an SMS message to whoever was needing the information. It's completely up to you. It's basically just exporting the functionality, and then, well, basically you get the data in a CSV file so that you can use it on Excel. We have created something that we call workspaces, and you got the option to export that ones to a specific set of teams. So you can create teams of different kind of like people that you have. So you could make an engineering team, a control room team, a field team, a management team, and then you can decide to export that information into those teams. And basically, once you get a query, you want to share it, go to the sharing, put it a click, it's shared with that specific team. You got a dashboard, you're going to share it, you can share it with that team. As long as you're part of that team, you can share the information with the team.